Welcome back, everyone, to another Captain Patriot video. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. I'm taking a look at this video that came out. Well, I guess news broke last night that Mark Zuckerberg says he censored content on Facebook due to pressure from the Biden administration, which to people on the right really isn't news. This is something we kind of already knew, and we know what kind of content they're not specifying here, what type of content they were censoring, but I think we know exactly what kind of content they were censoring, especially when it was the Biden administration telling Facebook to censor this type of content. It was obviously content that was more anti-vax or, maybe more questioning the origins of COVID, questioning the government's handling of COVID, things of that nature, obviously more right-leaning ideas. And it's clear that, now that this is coming out, it's like, wow, all the left is all surprised. Oh my gosh, what? No, really? And it's like, have we not been saying this? Were we not saying it loudly enough? Were we not saying it clearly? Were we stuttering? I'm confused because this is exactly what I was saying way back when during COVID that, okay, maybe we should pump the brakes on everyone just taking a vaccine without any sort of information about this vaccine and what's going into our bodies. It's just like, just take the drugs. It's like a fundamental issue I have with, modern medicine is that it's more of a business than medicine. It feels more of a business than medicine. And it's clear based off of the fact that these large pharmaceutical companies got massive amounts of money from the government to push out a vaccine so quickly with limited trials. And we're starting to see the ramifications of that with, people having heart conditions or blood clots. And everyone wants to say, oh, well, you can't say that it's connected. It's like, okay, yeah, this is the same conversation we're having right now about Mark Zuckerberg. Initially people saying, no, Facebook wasn't banning this content. They weren't censoring this content. And now it comes out that they were, and they got pressured by the Biden administration to do so. So, without further ado, let's get right into this video, and then I'll add my thoughts at the end or in the middle. We'll find out.
We do turn now to a story breaking overnight. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg claims he was pressured by the White House to censor content related to COVID-19 during the pandemic. Aaron Katersky joins us now with details. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning to you, Whit. For years, critics have taken aim at Facebook for silencing views that challenge the general consensus in the medical community, especially.
Yeah, right here I'm going to pause because the general consensus, if you're not familiar, was wear a mask, wear 2 masks, stay inside 6 feet apart from each other, don't touch anything, don't look at anyone, you'll transfer COVID. Oh, and it's misinformation if you disagree with any of these policies. It's misinformation and you need to be censored. You're too dangerous to be allowed on the platform. That's what they're talking about. So just for reference for those of you who might not be completely caught up.
Especially about the origin of COVID-19. Now, Facebook's
that
founder
too
surprisingly says they're right. This morning, Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg.
The conspiracy theorists strike again. Oh, those darn conspiracy theorists with always being right 10 or 6 or whatever months later. Oh, those darn conspiracy theorists. It's unacceptable.
Admitting he bowed to pressure from the Biden administration to censor content. The Facebook founder issuing a letter to the House Judiciary Committee that said senior administration officials pushed the social media platform to censor posts about COVID-19 and expressed a lot of frustration when the company resisted. Zuckerberg saying, I believe the government.
See, okay. Another thing too, my issue with this is who cares if you resist, if you give in anyways, right? If you give in to the demands that are completely unjustifiable and you start censoring people's opinions on your platform, right? You are allowing free speech for one side of the political aisle, but not for the other, right? And that is a lot of power to have over people, especially when so much of our communication nowadays is done online through social media, right? This is a huge problem for free speech, whether people want to say, oh, but it's a private business. It's like, not if the purpose of the business is for communication. If the purpose of the business is to allow people to communicate with one another, they should be required to follow the First Amendment, which is to allow people freedom of speech, obviously with the exception of calling for violence towards people and things like that. So this is a perfect example of how a large corporation can violate your First Amendment right. And of course, right, no one's going to get in trouble. He might get slapped with a little fine. Doesn't really matter. It's not going to make a difference to anything. And the next company that comes along will do the exact same thing in the exact same situation if there's some way to profit from it. So, this is just one of those things where it's like, okay, you resisted. Congratulations. You resisted, but you inevitably gave in to the government pressure and you started censoring people's posts on Facebook. Right. That's the gist of it.
Government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. Adding, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction.
Correct.
And we're ready to push back if something like this happens again.
Okay. You know what? I saw recently, I think, a video of him coming out and saying, you know what? One of the other things too is he looks a lot more healthy now. He looks less like a lizard person. He looks a lot more healthy. And he also came out and started saying he's supporting Trump now. And now this too. I think maybe he took the red pill or something like that. Because I mean, Mark Zuckerberg has always been kind of a strange looking dude, which is totally fine. So am I. But what's really interesting is he's starting to look more healthy now and have a little bit more color to his face. And he's now supporting Trump as far as I'm aware. And this, right. So this is like, maybe this is his transition from the left to the right. I don't know.
President Biden was asked about misinformation online in the summer of 2021.
We didn't do anything.
COVID misinformation, what's your message to platforms like Facebook?
What? What? What's that? his look of absolute like brain fart fuckery here.
They're killing people. I mean, it really. Look, the only pandemic.
They're killing people. They're killing you. Having a different opinion is you killing people. If you don't agree with the mainstream media, you're killing people. According to our president. That's our president, by the way. Still is, unfortunately. That's another thing. How is he still president? I don't know.
We have is among the unvaccinated. And they're killing people.
Biden later walked back the comment, insisting he wasn't attacking Facebook. Overnight, the White House responded to Zuckerberg's letter. Our position has been clear and consistent. We believe tech companies and other private actors should take into account the effects their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present. Zuckerberg going on to express regret for demoting content related to corruption allegations against Hunter Biden ahead of the 2020 election, alleging the FBI warned information circulating online.
More censorship, right? All it is, it's just censorship. And it's just so crazy to me that we still allow this to be the case, right? Like this, to me, is the most bizarre thing as an American to see, because above all else, the First Amendment should be something that we all understand is the most critical and most important thing for a free nation, is the ability to think freely. If you're not allowed to think differently than your neighbor or differently than the mainstream media tells you to think, you have a serious problem on your hands, right? This to me is the most wild, I don't know. The most valuable amendment we have, in my opinion, is the First Amendment. The freedom of thought, right? Your ability to think for yourself is what makes America America, right? That's why America is, the place of dreams, right? Because whatever you think you can achieve, right? That's the American dream. And so it's sad to see such an attack on the First Amendment in so many different ways, from so many different angles on different platforms, whether it's Twitter, I guess X now, but I mean, like, X is a lot better than it used to be. Facebook, obviously, Instagram, obviously owned by Facebook. And it's just sad. It's just sad that this is the state of our country. This is where we're at now when it comes to communication, is that half of the ideas are not permissible on platforms like Facebook because they go against the mainstream and they're not politically correct. Whatever that means, whatever that term means, they're not allowed. The ideas themselves are not allowed. And so who do you set up? Who do you appoint to be the person who identifies which ideas are okay and which ideas are not okay? This is why we have freedom of speech in America, or at least we should.
Was a Russian disinformation operation. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story.
Oh, of course. In retrospect, sorry guys, sorry we damaged Trump's chances of winning because we pushed out this lie that it was Russian disinformation. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry we stuck you with Biden for 4 years who fucked our economy up. Oh, sorry about that. My bad. Retroactively looking at it, whatever, man.
Zuckerberg went on to say the company has changed its policies and processes to make sure it doesn't happen again.
It will.
Judiciary Committee Chairman
It will.
Jim Jordan celebrating the letter, calling it a big win for free speech.
Zuckerberg's letter first appeared in the Wall Street Journal, and there really is a tension going on here between the government and big tech over how content on social media should be policed and whether conservative.
How content should be policed? How about if it's illegal, don't allow it? Like calling for violence against people is against the law, right? Like this is, to me, but saying that maybe you should not get vaccinated is not against the law, nor should it be, right? This is the issue, is that like you want to police people's speech, police things that are illegal, police criminal activity. Don't police people's speech because you don't like what they said, right? Don't police people's speech because they're critical of the government or the government's handling of COVID. Like this to me is such a brain dead decision. Like this is such a, like Joe Biden, being as brain dead as he is, should be able to figure out what's right and wrong. But somehow we're still struggling to do that, which makes me think it's intentional that they're trying to silence everyone on the right who disagrees with people on the left. It can't be just an accident. It has to be intentional, right? Why else would the Biden administration reach out to Facebook and say, hey, remove these posts or push them down so people don't even see them? Why are they trying to cover for Hunter Biden and the whole laptop scandal? What's the deal with that? Oh, I don't know. It was just retroactively we were looking at it. We realized that maybe we did the wrong thing. It's like this is such boring. It's just like it's so tedious. It's so tedious to have to talk about this with people who are just so brain dead they can't figure it out for themselves. That's what's frustrating. You should be able to figure this out for yourself. You should be smart enough to figure this out for yourself. If you're not, don't vote. Stay out of the polls. Stop voting. Please, for the rest of America, if you know you're not intelligent enough to figure this stuff out, stop voting. It's your right to vote. It's your right to be an idiot. It's also your right to recognize when you're being stupid. Okay, and it's my right to be able to call it out. It's just like ridiculous. Oh man. I don't know. This is not really anything new. There have always been people trying to censor people. There have always been people trying to control others. I just think that right now we're seeing a lot more of it. And especially during COVID, it shed a lot of light on the fact that a lot of people want to have control over everyone else. And it's sad. You know, it's a sad, pathetic thing to do. Especially when it's coming from the government, and the government is telling companies that are supposedly supposed to be communication platforms and should be required to follow the First Amendment. You know, it's sad that our government is telling them to not follow the First Amendment and to take certain political ideologies and push them to the bottom so people don't see them or hear them, right? You want one aisle of thought. That's what you want, right? And that's what the Biden administration is vying for. So it's just disappointing. This is not, you know, this is the most un-American thing you could probably do, is censor people's speech, censor people's ideas, and censor people's communication. I'm of the thought that, you know, every social media platform or any platform that allows communication between parties should follow the First Amendment, which means freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of religion. And if you can't do that, you should not be allowed to operate. No one should be allowed to use your platform. It should be illegal for you to exist. That's my thought on that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.